When you think of Mario, what comes to mind? A friendly plumber? A hero saving a princess? While these statements are true, there have been some pretty disturbing stories about Mario posted to the internet. Today I'm sharing with you a story about a disturbing developer level that was left in Super Mario World. This level was removed from pretty much every copy of the game, except for a few first print editions, which is where our story comes from. So if you get scared easily, I would advise you to click off the video now, because things are about to get freaky. I mean, creepy. I'm gonna make this clear right off the bat. None of what I'm gonna be talking about involves a haunted video game. This isn't about a game doing something impossible, or hell, something it shouldn't have, period. Not a glitch, not a hidden message, not a mysterious ROM hack, or a tampered game. This is about a feature that I managed to unearth when I was a kid. A feature that, as far as I'm aware of, no one else has managed to unlock. Just a well-hidden secret that none of us were supposed to find. Something that was meant to take a multi-billion-dollar franchise into an entirely different direction, only to be scrapped and abandoned, never to be known by anyone outside of the people who created it. This is what I can only assume to be the previously undiscovered alternate ending to Nintendo's Super Mario World. In 1993, I got a Super Nintendo and a copy of Super Mario World for Christmas. I was obsessed with that thing for months before, pleading with my parents to buy it, hounding them for months, and lucky for 10-year-old me, it worked, or at least, I thought I was lucky at the time. After my dad set it up for me, I began to immerse myself in the new world that Mario had to offer. I remember how excited I was. What kid wouldn't be? My friends told me all about how amazing the game was at recess, alongside a few tricks they would use to beat sections of the game on repeat playthroughs. Excited to try their tricks out, I quickly entered the menu. Strangely though, I couldn't pick what character I could play as. Of course, I knew this wasn't intentional, as I had watched my friends play the game with Luigi before. I was disappointed, but still I just shrugged it off as some glitch, and settled with playing as Mario. After that, I played the game as normal, having a blast. It was hard to get through at first, but eventually I managed to get close to beating the entire game in a few hours, with my friends' tricks really helping me speed through the game much easier. Things were normal up to that point. Everything was as my friends described it. At least, that remained true until I got past a sunken ghost ship. After I cleared the level, instead of a Bowser cave appearing out of the water, a path opened to a whirlpool on the right. Confused, I moved Mario over to the new level, only to find out it had no name. My friends never mentioned anything else aside from the sunken ghost ship before the Bowser cave, but I simply waved it off as me forgetting or them just not bringing it up. And hey, maybe the lack of the name was just a bug or something. Either way, I wanted to show my friends what I saw, so I took my camera out of my closet and snapped a picture of my TV screen. I found myself doing this a lot, as you'll soon see why. Anyways, I entered the level expecting something like the ghost ship again. Instead, however, I was greeted by the intro that plays every time before a castle level, just underwater this time, with strangely no background, unlike all the other underwater levels. This was rather out of place, as I had just cleared the castle level before this, and nothing of the sort happened. Regardless, I convinced myself that this was a special castle or something and kept playing. After Mario entered the castle, he wound up in the passageway. At this point, what I was experiencing seemed more like a glitch or some unfinished developer area. On top of the passageway was just pitch black. I couldn't jump, and all I could really do was have Mario progressively go to the right while running at his highest speed. This went on for a couple of minutes, until eventually some boos appeared in the black area above the passageway. After Mario ran past them, the boos obviously chased him, just strangely faster than I remembered. The further Mario ran down the passageway, the more boos appeared above. Over time, big boos would even start to accompany them, also chasing at a much faster speed. Not only that, but bony beetles started to appear in the passageway with me. I obviously couldn't dodge them thanks to jumping being off the table, the boos chasing me, the screen keeping me from going off, and Mario being down to 1 health. But then, as I touched the bony beetle, nothing happened. The beetle just phased through Mario. Confused, I let one of the boos catch me. Once again, nothing. Mario for some reason could not die. This further made me think that none of what I was playing was even meant to be accessible. At least, not by players like me, that is. Either way, I kept on going until eventually the passageway led me into a room with a pipe inside. The pipe took Mario to another passageway, just far less narrow. At the end of the passageway lay a boss door and a question block. The question block held a cape, one that I happily accepted. I then entered the ball store and was taken to this arena. Instead of the boss already being there, however, there was nothing. Mario just stood there for a second as I couldn't control him. And then abruptly, fire rained down from the ceiling, covering both the left and right sides of the arena. The fire was from Bowser's boss fight, but even stranger, it was recolored to green. And then a familiar face appeared from the right. Walking past a fire, a tall figure dressed in green overalls with a scowl on his face, Luigi. It finally clicked to me why Luigi wasn't selectable on the menu screen. But that wasn't my only takeaway. Not only seeing Luigi there, but also just him wearing an angered expression like that caught me so off guard. As I was distracted by my thoughts, the game caught my attention back with what Luigi said to Mario. "You thought Koopa worked alone?" As Mario reeled back in terror, with an expression of worry plastered on his face, everything clicked. Luigi was always second to Mario, the player 2, the one who never gets the princess. Despite how similar the two's moveset were, with Luigi having the same bravery as Mario, at the end of the day, it's the Super Mario Brothers, and Luigi is just the brother, the second Mario. Luigi must have hated Mario, despised him, as Mario got all the praise even though they both equally did the work rescuing the princess. Of course, this isn't how their dynamic is nowadays, or at least that's not how the modern day Luigi would see things. But back then, that wasn't who Luigi was. And that line, "Koopa hadn't worked alone," it confused me at first, but then I realized, how did Bowser consistently kidnap the princess? And that's when it all clicked. Since Super Mario Bros. And onward, it was an inside job, and now Luigi seemed to have grown tired of Bowser and his minions, failing to kill Mario across each game. He was finally here to finish the job himself. And so after the text disappeared, the battle began. Luigi didn't act like the Koopalings at all, not only in attacks, but also how he acted. His AI was clearly more sophisticated than the Koopalings, not like that was hard to do of course, but still, it was a noticeable change. He could both hurl fireballs at Mario, and cause ones from the Bowser boss fight to drop down, just like the ones from the intro of the fight. On top of that, he had more than 3 hit points, and could block, preventing me from dishing out the damage to him. It was tricky at first, but eventually I got the hang of things, jumping on Luigi's head consistently. As I dealt more and more damage to him, the floor of the arena began to collapse, as it did in the other boss fights. Things only got trickier as I needed to dodge Luigi's attacks in a consistently shrinking space. But eventually, I managed to deal the final blow to him, ending the fight. As Luigi sat down in defeat, Mario, still wearing his somber expression, used his cape to hit Luigi, causing him to barrel upwards and then back down, falling into the lava below as he extended out his hand before it slowly sunk into the fiery depths. As Mario looked on, he sat on the ledge of a bridge, weeping. The coarse clear text faded on the screen, no longer accompanied by music. Before everything faded to black. I could just tell by how everything played out that the death of Luigi was indeed a permanent one. It was saddening for me to see the brotherhood of Mario and Luigi shattering before my very eyes. Luigi couldn't handle not having the spotlight, not being Mario, so all this time he'd secretly been working against you throughout every game. And now the villain, I, or anyone else didn't even realize was there, had been wiped out. I didn't realize at the time, but now I do. This was intentional. This was the direction Nintendo planned to take the series in, with Luigi being a secret antagonist. Of course, what I found out was never complete, evident by the unfinished environments, lack of music, etc. Midway through the development, Nintendo must have not liked this direction and scrapped it, going with what the rest of the world got to experience, all except for me. As I awaited to be taken back to the world map, the game instead lingered on an empty black screen, at least for a little while, and then suddenly something faded onto my TV screen. Luigi. Well, what remained of him at least. It was a highly compressed art of Luigi's burnt, mangled corpse, with his smile singed off and only having one eye left in the socket. His body was burnt and caked in blood. As I stared at this horrific image, red text appeared on the screen. "I hate you." As I looked on, however, I noticed some more text on the top left corner of the screen. "Remove this before we show this build to Miyamoto." This slightly made it less scary because it clicked with me that this screen was some kind of dark gag between the developers. Either way, seeing Luigi in this state did spook me a bit. I had watched horror movies before like Saw, Terrifier, and the Paw Patrol Halloween special when my parents were asleep, So obviously it didn't scare the crap out of me, but the fact was that this was in a Mario game, and seeing such an encounter was such a rattling thing, at the very least. And the text, "I hate you," further drove the point home. After what felt like an eternity staring at that screwed up Luigi, the screen turned to black before fading to the world map, a sight I had never been so relieved to see. Then, just like it should have after the sunken ghost ship, a Bowser cave emerged from the water, allowing me to enter the final area of the game. Thankfully, nothing from that point onward had been altered or was in the very same vein as that untitled level. Regardless, however, I couldn't get it out of my mind, even after playing through the normal levels. And before I even knew it, I had beaten the game, with Bowser defeated and the princess rescued. As you might expect, the victory was bittersweet, and to further drive this point home was the ending screen. Only Mario and Peach stood there, with the notable absence of Luigi. Their expressions weren't even sad or anything. It was the same happiness during the end screen with Luigi there. I could tell though, Mario was hiding it, whether it was for Peach's sake or something else. I knew what he was feeling deep down. As for Peach, well, maybe it's just an adult me overanalyzing things, but her, I felt something different about her. She didn't look like she was hiding anything. Heck, it didn't even feel like she realized Luigi was missing. And now, I just realized Luigi was right. He really was lesser than Mario, and nobody other than his brother even knew he was gone. The person he betrayed. The person he hated. Regardless of Luigi's betrayal, all of this was just so somber to me. After I finished the game back then, I stopped playing it. I threw it in a box in my closet and forgot about it for years, playing other Super Nintendo games and trying to forget what I saw. The idea of Mario for me back then, and even now, is just tainted. It's no longer about a happy-go-lucky hero and his brother saving the day. It's about a brother starved of any recognition from his hard work, betraying his loved one, and working against him in the shadows, only to meet a fiery grave. I didn't want to be reminded of that as a kid, so I chose not to, managing to completely forget about this over time. Eventually, when I turned 15, I was rummaging through my bedroom, looking for things to sell at a garage sale, only to find that copy of Super Mario World. At the time, I didn't realize how valuable it was, even with the bad memories attached to it, so I chose to give it to my mom to sell at the garage sale, hoping the experience the game gave me would disappear forever. I am now 35 years old as of writing this. I managed to recollect all of this thanks to the pictures I took that day. I tried to search online to see if anyone else has managed to witness this, but so far, I haven't found anything. I've been debating now for a few days if I should have made this or not, even with the pictures I have. I want to archive what I have experienced, no matter if a majority believes me or not. All I can say now is, I'm thankful Luigi turned into the happy-go-lucky, lovable dork we have now, rather than the man burning at the bottom of the lava pit, forever hating the man he was always stuck in the shadow of.